Good afternoon to those of you that are on the West Coast, on the East Coast. Good morning if you're on the West Coast, and happy lunchtime if you're in the Mountain Time Zone like I am. Looks like people are just now starting to join in, so we're gonna wait a few minutes, and I'll just chat with you while we allow the couple stragglers to come in before we get started today. Okay, so why don't we get started? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our second in our Talk to Our Expert series. We're going to try and do this every third Wednesday of the month at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And today's session is about searching in Merlin. We will be recording this session, and so we will make the URL available to the video once we get it posted, probably later this afternoon. So if you want to share it with your colleagues, that would be great. I'm by myself today. Randy's in transit. So let's go to our next slide. We want to try and keep this session short, sweet, and efficient. The session is being recorded. You should ask your questions in the webinar chat window. What we're trying to do is avoid having lots of crosstalk and people going back and forth. So right now, everybody is muted except for me. Your questions at the end do not have to be related to today's topic, which is about searching. And we'd like to keep this session to 30 minutes or less so we can all go back to doing the things that we need to be doing. What I want to do is go briefly through what we're going to talk about today, and then I'll actually show you how to accomplish these things in the new MerlinOne web client. Most of what I can show you today can also be done in the older browser client that we call Webmaster, and also in the Merlin 5 Rich client for those of you that might still be using that. So our search options include using a thesaurus. This would be a thesaurus that you build that would be specific to your industry or your place in the world. So a college or university might have a different set of thesaurus entries than a nonprofit or a newspaper customer. We're also going to talk about word root searching, so that when you search for the word run, for example, it knows how to search for running and ran. This is nice, but it does make the search more fuzzy, and so your results set is larger when you do a word root search. Some people really like this, so you can turn it on, but if you don't like it, you can turn it off. We're going to talk about these search operators in Merlin, the word and, or, not, at least, near, like, and then. These words have very special meaning in Merlin, and we're going to go through all of these words and how they can help enhance your searching in Merlin. And again, this applies to all of our clients, the Rich client, as well as the MerlinOne web client and the older Merlin Webmaster client. So we're going to talk about these search operators. So I'm going to show you these in action. In the simple searching, you can use wildcard characters. We have two different types of wildcards. You can use an asterisk for a string of wildcards, or a question mark for a single letter value wildcard. You can also do string matching by putting things in quotes. We'll talk about that. You can also search singular versus plural, and so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. We'll talk about doing field level searching. This is where you can search for date fields, where you can choose values from pick lists. You might recall if you attended our session last month about controlled vocabulary, we talked about how to create and manage controlled vocabulary lists for different fields. And if you need a refresher on that, I would encourage you to go to our YouTube page or to the MerlinOne website and find last month's video so you can get a refresher on that. You can also search for logical fields as well. So those would be, yes or no type of fields. There are some other search palette options. So in the search palette, you have the ability to save Merlin alerts. So these are automatic emails that are triggered. This is unique to the web clients. You can also email a link to somebody with the search results. This is unique to the Merlin X client. You can also set an expiration date so that if you know after the Super Bowl has been played, you're not interested in your Super Bowl search, it would be quite easy to set an expiration date on the search so you're not cluttering up the search palette with unused searches. So that's something that we'll show you how to do as well today. And then finally, we'll take your questions at the end of the session. So that's enough for the requisite PowerPoint presentation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my web browser. I'm already logged into Merlin, and I'm not showing any results in my search because I want to start out with searching. So I'm starting with a blank screen, and I have the ability to search for photos. Okay, so you probably know this. This is pretty basic. I can search for photos. I can search for audio and video. I can search for other types of content, which includes graphics and PDF pages. And then if I'm a text-enabled site, like a lot of our newspaper customers are, I also have the ability to search for stories, okay? And so if I click the search button, it's running the search through the entire system, and it's showing me the most recent 5,000 records that have been added to my database. Okay, and you can see this database has 625,000 records in it. This is small, as most of you know, by Merlin standards. It's not unusual for a lot of our newspaper customers to have over 10 million records. And of course, your DAM systems only get larger. They very rarely get smaller. So I did want to just show you that you can choose to search for different types of content by choosing photos, videos, and so on and so forth. You can also search by the file extension, and I'll show you that. But let's talk a little bit about our search options before we get further. So for example, if I trigger open the triangle in my search box, I get some additional search options. I can choose my search mode. The default is Boolean searching, and that's what I recommend you leave it at because it gives you the most flexibility. You can also choose all words, which means everything you put in there has to be true, or any words, which means anything you put in there might be true. So it treats it as an or search, and we'll talk about that, or an exact phrase, and we'll talk about exact phrase searching. But I think Boolean searching is the best. This is where you would invoke a thesaurus, and this is where you would invoke the word root search. Okay, so if you want to get fuzzier search results, be sure to check the word root search checkbox. Okay, and as a reminder, the way to get to that is to just click this little triangle in the search area. So I'm going to just turn this on, and I'm going to leave both of these blank for right now. And what I want to do is give you an example of how that works. So I'm going to search for YYM, and that doesn't mean anything to anybody, except I know a lot of people refer to Yo-Yo Ma, who is a world-renowned cellist, by using the abbreviation YYM. And if I click on search for YYM, I get one Word document out of everything that's in my system, okay? But now, and you notice that's the name of the document, YYM, which is why I found that. But if I go to my options, and if I turn on use thesaurus, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on word root search for now as well. And now if I click on search, notice how I get 159 results. So there are 159 records in this database where Yo-Yo Ma is actually spelled out, and you can see it right here in the name of the file, okay? Or if I click here on this record, it's here and here. And so I've got Yo-Yo Ma is appearing in multiple places. Might be in a keyword, it might be in the headline. Here's a picture from the Venezuelan orchestra, and I can see here Yo Yo Ma. And so that's why this showed up, and it's because the thesaurus has been invoked. So that's why we're getting a broader or a more fuzzy search. So I wanted to show you those search options. Okay, now let's go back and do some regular searching. So I'm going to clear my search, and I'm just going to let's restrict our searching right now just to photos. Okay, and I'm going to search for the term weather because we get lots of weather photos in our system, and you might as well. Okay, and so I just found 14,000 items where the word weather appears somewhere in the metadata of all of my photos. Okay, so that's a lot of pictures to look through. I probably don't want to look through all of them, and so maybe I'm not interested in flooding photos. So what I can do is I can eliminate the flood photos by saying I'm looking for weather but not flood. Okay, so show me weather photos, but exclude anything that has the word flood in the metadata. And so now if I click the search, you're going to see I have a totally different results set because my flooding photos have been removed from my search. And here they are. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could expand this a little bit more. And for those of you that remember algebra, basically I'm doing a simple algebraic equation from high school algebra. So I'm going to say, show me weather photos, but if it's a flood photo, don't show it to me. Or if it's a wave photo, don't show it to me. Or if it's a winter photo, don't show it to me. So I built a little algebraic equation here, and I'm going to click on search. And so all these pictures of waves are going to disappear from my search window now because I've excluded them. So you can see now I'm down to 8,000 records, and all those pictures of large waves have been eliminated. And I could continue this out if I wanted to by adding additional items to exclude. So I wanted to show you that. So let's talk a little bit more. We use the operator not in this, and we also use the operator or in this, but let's talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so let's do this. Let's search for landscape photos. And I'm looking for pictures of landscape photos and sand dunes. Okay, so both of these terms must be true. Okay, so if I click this, and the word and is presumed, you don't have to type the word and let's just make it photos only instead of stories as well. Okay, so I've got these three photos in here, landscape and sand dune. Okay, so I used the word and notice I got 3 records. But if I change the and to an or and run the search, my results grow by quite a bit. So I get over 1,000 items because the word landscape is true and the words sand dune are true as well. Okay, so it could be either one of these, and that's why the or statement works. Okay, and I already showed you how not works and how that can be invoked. Let's talk about at least 5 weather. Okay, so that means the word weather must appear at least 5 times in the content I'm searching for. And so you're looking for words that are significant. Okay, so I'm going to click on search. Oh, I didn't get anything. Oh, I'm sorry, it auto-completed for me. I hate autocorrect. At least, and let me turn that off. There we go. So I got additional photos this time, at least 5 weather. So it means the word weather had to appear in these items at least 5 times somewhere in the metadata. It might be in the caption like it is. I've got 3 instances of the word weather in the caption. It also appeared in the name of the file, and it probably also appeared in the headline field or in the keyword field. And so that's why this showed up. And so I can use the word at least and type in any number I want here. So if I change it to at least 2 weather, okay, I will get more hits more than likely. Yes, you can see I get 2,319 items. So that's an at least search. I can also use the operator near. Okay, so I could say Bush near Obama. And if you don't type a number in, it's going to presume that you're within 8 words. Okay, so if I click on this, the word Bush has to be within 8 words of the word Obama. But if I do something like this and say, I need you to be right next to each other, Bush near to Obama, so that's within 2 words, I can click on search and it narrows it down here. And you can see down here in the caption for this photo, Bush to Obama. So that's why this picture is in here. And this is actually Randy Simpson, my colleague, and myself standing with some former White House photo staffers. We were at a conference in New York. So we were all standing together for that photo. Okay, so that's a little bit about the near search. There's also, you can use the word then. I don't find that to be particularly useful, but it would be the first word followed by the second word. So that would always presume that the words appear in that order. So you could type this, then that, and the words would have to be in that exact order. I don't find that particularly useful. My favorite one is the word like. Okay, this is doing phonetic searching. So if I type in like coffee, it's going through the entire database and it's finding things that it thinks sounds like the word coffee. And so you can see down here, okay, and that's why this showed up. But if you go and you say, I'm looking for things that sound like coffee, but not the word coffee, I hope everybody followed along with that one. It's a little confusing. I'm looking for things that sound like coffee, but if it's the word coffee itself, exclude it from the search. So I'm going to click on this search and notice it narrowed it down to 27 records. Okay, so that's a great way to navigate and drill down to what you're looking for by adding the not. And of course, I could make it more fuzzy. So if I wanted to, I could say like 100 coffee, and that would be very, very fuzzy factor. Okay, it's really not associated with anything that you can assign a value to. It's just a level of fuzziness where 1 is the least fuzzy and 100 is more fuzzy, and 8 is the default level of fuzziness if you don't type a number in. It's using the level of 8. So if I use like 100 coffee, I'm going to expect to get thousands and thousands and thousands of records back, because that's a pretty fuzzy factor to use to type for something. And also because it's having to look through so many records, it's going to take a second or two to build my search results. Okay, so it's real easy to do something like this. There we go. Look, it found 22,000 records, and see, it thinks cloud is related to coffee because they kind of start out the same. And so if maybe I don't want to be quite that fuzzy, maybe I want to be like 10 coffee, and I can click on that search. And so that won't be quite as fuzzy as the previous one. Okay, so that's how you can do phonetic searching. If you don't know how to spell something, or you're not sure a photographer who wrote captions that spelled things, and now I could say like 10 coffee, but not coffee. And if you wanted to, you could improve on the search or narrow the search down by doing your algebraic equation and putting parentheses around the word coffee and adding coffee, C-O-F-F-E-E, or C-O-F-F-E-Y. And so you would narrow your search results down by doing something like that. So that's kind of a nice thing to be able to do. Okay, so that's a little bit about our search operators. I'm going to pause for just a second and see if anybody wants to chat me any questions. I don't see anything just yet. All right, so let's keep on going and let's talk about searching using wildcards. So once again, another technique to use if you're not quite sure how to spell something. So I could type in the word air and an asterisk, and by typing in the word air and an asterisk, it's doing a phonetic search. It's doing a wildcard search. It's going to find the word air, and then it could find airplane, airport, just lots of other things. Okay, so here it found this one because it's got airfoil that showed up as one of my automated keywords. Okay, and Airedale showed up. Okay, in this picture, and this showed up because it's airport. Okay, and this showed up because it's airport. And if I click on one of these, it shows up as airways and airport. And so that's how you can use wildcard searching. And wildcard searching can be used at the beginning of a word or at the end of a word, so I'm doing it at the beginning of the word now, or in the middle of the word, so you have three options for your wildcard searches, and the asterisk is a multi-string wildcard, so it's looking for multiple things, okay? And so here, it found the word sport in this one, S-P-O-R-T, and port was the word we were looking for, okay? And here is support, which is why it found this. And if I scroll down, transport, which is why it found this. So they all end with P-O-R-T, but start with something quite variable, okay? Oh, there's a cute little trailer. And so again, transport for this one as well. So your wildcard characters can be used anywhere you want. The question mark is a single character wildcard. So if I type in P question mark RT, it's going to look for port and part, okay? And it's only looking for a single letter in this case. And then there we go with it found 1,300 items. And so if I scroll down and it found this, yeah, here's the word part as you would expect. And if we go here parts, okay, notice Merlin is searching for singular and plural at the same time. And Merlin will do that by default unless you implicitly tell it otherwise. And to implicitly tell Merlin to search singular or plural, you need to put a slash at the end of your search term. So as I've done now, it would only search for singular. And if I make it with the S and put a slash after it, it's only going to search for plural. So that's how you can differentiate between singular and plural searching in Merlin. I also want to talk about putting things in quotes or doing a string match or an exact match type of search. Let's do this. Masters British, okay? So it's going to search for anything with the word master in it and anything with the word British in it, right? So I've get British master paintings, and I also get golf pictures from the British masters, okay? So that's what I've got here. And if I want to, I could reverse that and put it in quotes. So it's looking for that exact string match. And when I click on the search, okay, it's narrowed the search results down quite a bit. It's 229 records. And so the term British and masters have to be together in order for this to show up. And again, it's looking for singular or plural at the same time. Okay. So that's kind of cool. And of course, these paintings are British masters as well. And that's probably in my keywords, which is why this is showing up here. Okay, so that's a little bit about using the simple search, and you can do a lot with the simple search, okay? But you can do even more by searching for specific fields, and you can search across as many fields as you want. Now, because this is my demo system, I've got lots of fields showing here that we use for different types of demos, and you may not be using all of these. But for example, if I wanted to search the byline or author or creator, I can choose to do that. And if I start to type in a name, in this case, it's going to autocomplete, and I'm typing in my name, and it's auto-completing to my name, so I can choose it from the list. So this is an example of controlled vocabulary that we talked about last month. And so I can say, I'm interested in pictures with my byline in them, and I can click on search, and I've got 800 records. And I can combine that with other terms up above. So if I add the word landscape up above, I'm getting pictures where the word landscape appears in it. Notice it dropped down to 79 records. And if I want to add additional fields, for example, I'm looking for older photos, I can search for things that were before, and now I get a date picker, right? And I can say I'm looking for things that were before the 1st of February, and I'm going to make it 2015. Okay, instead of 16, and click on search. And so I'm finding pictures that have been in here for a really, really long time. Okay, so it's got a date created of before 2/1/2015. And so that's an example about using lots of different fields to narrow down your searching. So let me show you. We're going to use the country field as an example as well. So I'm going to go find country, and I'm going to start to type. And again, this has been configured as a pick list, right? So I'm going to type in, oops, let me do it right. And notice it's trying to autocomplete, and I can choose United States of America and click on search, and probably all of my photos will disappear except for the one, because I typically have not been putting United States of America in my country field, although I could go back and do that and batch edit. Okay, other fields have different types of things. For example, if we search the keyword field, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all of this out and just search keywords so it's not as confusing. and we're going to go down to keywords right here, and let's add a keyword. I'm going to type in landscape. And notice it's trying to autocomplete, so I'm going to choose one, and then I'm going to choose another one, and I'm going to type in weather. Okay, and now it's trying to autocomplete, so I'm going to make it weather as a keyword. Okay, so I've got these two keywords, and now I can choose the behavior. Is it all of these words? Okay, which means the word and is presumed in here, so they both have to be true. Let's see if we have any. I'm not sure that we do. No. Or any, which puts an or between these words. And of course, I'm going to get lots of results if I do this. Okay, so I got 149 items where the word landscape appears in the keywords or the word weather appears in the keywords. So I wanted to show you that as well. And so some fields allow you to do this, and then some fields are logical fields where you just get to choose, is it yes, is it no, or do I care? Okay, so I wanted to show you that. So this gives you lots of flexibility in how you search. And what's really nice about this, searches that you use a lot, okay? Searches that you use a lot, you can save as a saved search. And you can do this again in any of our clients. So I'm going to click on Save Searches, and your saved searches may be shared, or they may be private, which means they belong to the individual who's logged in. And to create a saved search, you just click the little plus button and it creates an untitled search, and then you can name it whatever you want. I recommend you name it something meaningful rather than untitled, so you know what it does when you click on it, okay? And then to get rid of a saved search, it's a simple matter of highlighting it and clicking the minus sign. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes, I am. And now that search has disappeared from my system. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about are my search palette options, okay? And this applies only to our web clients, so not into the rich client. And my search palette options appear under this little tool utility, okay? And so if I click on it, I can create an email alert. Okay, and so if I create an email alert, it allows me to choose any search that I have in here. For example, this 5 days of sports, or Jim needs to approve, or skiing photos, and I can choose to create an alert, and I can type in one or more email addresses here. And when I do this, Merlin will send out an email letting people know that that they've got something that's arrived in the system. Okay, so that's an alert, and then you can also add an expiration date to a search. So if you know you want it to expire on, say, the next week, you can do that. And so my skiing photos search will expire next week. And so I'm going to save that. And let's see, there we go. And then the last thing in here is the ability to email a link to somebody. And so this assumes that the user has an access to your Merlin system. And it's not behaving for me. I do apologize. But basically, it would come up with a form to fill out where you can type in the email address of the or addresses of the people that you would like this link to be sent to. That's not the right thing. And Merlin will send a link to these people, and when they click on the link, it will force them to log in, and then it will immediately show them the search results from whatever search you've sent them here. So I've practically used my entire 30 minutes. I know we spent a few minutes getting started. If you've got questions, please, why don't you either raise your hand or type a message to me in the chat window, and I'll answer it as best I can. Wow. Okay, no questions for today. So that's what I've got for you today. If you've got suggestions for upcoming chat with an experts, let us know. We'll take them under consideration because we do want to gear these towards the things that you need to know. So I guess that's all I've got for you. We'll be sending out a link to this to everybody that attended and even those that didn't attend, so that you can go review this if you want, because I know it was really cool, but you might want to share it with your colleagues if they're interested in learning more about searching. So thanks, everybody. Have a good Wednesday afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you again next month.